Well, welcome back again to another installment of Stick to Travel podcast. Yes, we no longer do that content anymore. It's more about travel and traveling and more traveling as well. I don't profess to be, how can I say this, a professional at travel, so I'm still learning my trade, but I'm wanting you, I know you're watching me over there, join me over here. Whoops, what's have I done there? Sorry about that. Yeah. Join me over here. Come in the live chat and let me know your thoughts about what we're going to be talking about. What are we going to be talking about? We're going to be talking about travel. Yes. Now, there is a poll that we just started in the live chat. What do you think could be the best travel for you? Cruising, or being at the beach, or cruising and traveling to the beach? Let me know. Come in the live chat. Let me know your thoughts. Now, I did actually say last week, Wednesday, that I'll try and get one or two guests on. It hasn't happened. Not yet. Not on Stick to Travel podcast just yet. But it will happen. It happened very, very soon. But kind of interact in the live chat. Let me know your thoughts, and we'll go onwards and upwards. So what I've done for today's segment, some questions that you might want to ask your travel agent. Ding, ding. I am a travel agent. I am a travel agent. So these are questions you might want to ask me. That's going to be the first segment. The second segment is going to be my stories of when I've traveled and when I've not traveled. I've collected family members, yeah, and some mishaps. So kind of funny short stories. So let's get to the first question that you might want to ask your travel agent. The first question is, what is the best time to travel? Now, as a travel agent, we can't give you that advice. You have to decide, when do you think is the best time to travel? You're going to put in your mind, can I afford to travel during the summer holidays? We know predominantly during the summer holidays, tickets are astronomical. So that's a question you have to ask yourself. We can't answer that question for you. You might say, well, what's it like traveling to the Caribbean? What's it like traveling to, I don't know, Central or South America? What's it like traveling to Asia at a particular time of the year? But to ask a travel agent, what's the best time to travel? That's not something that really a travel agent can be advising you on. You have to think about your budget. If you have a family, one or two children, maybe an adolescent, a teenager that might just want to go off and do their own thing. So that's something you have to ask you yourself and your family. As a travel agent, we can't really give advice on that. The next question could be, what travel destinations do you recommend? Well, I've traveled to Central and South America. I've traveled to the Caribbean. I've not traveled to North America. Oh, actually, I have, but via being transit to travel to Central and South America. I've traveled to Australia, not been to New Zealand. Again, my number one destination I would love to travel to, tick it off my bucket list, would be Hawaii. I've always wanted to travel to Hawaii. Hence, I've got this shirt that I got from a particular store. I'm not going to mention the store. But yeah. Anyway, next question you might want to ask. Do I need travel insurance? Yes, you do. I spoke about this week before, the first installment on Stick to Travel podcast. You don't want to find yourself in a situation where you're saying to yourself, if only I brought travel insurance. If you're traveling for yourself, you're doing extreme sports, traveling with your family, you don't want to be in a position where you're saying to yourself, if only I only got travel insurance. So, a no-brainer. Do I need travel insurance? Yes, you do. It's a no-brainer. A no-brainer. Right. So now let me get on to funny travel stories. So you're looking at this picture with a car laden with luggage on top. Many, many years ago, when my parents went to the Caribbean, they went to Dominica. It's probably 1988, 1918, no, 88. And I remember driving up to Gatwick Airport. It wasn't Heathrow, it was Gatwick Airport on the M25. And I tied down the luggage as hard as possible as I could, making sure I got my parents to the airport on time, that they checked in on time, they had their passports, everything there, and they got there on time. Gatwick Airport. Now, on the way back, I remember getting a call from my mum. Make sure you're gonna come and collect. I said, Mum, of course I'm gonna come and collect you. Of course, I'll come and collect you from the airport. Where is it? Gatwick Airport. So drove up. I think they went away for like 3 or 4 weeks to Dominica. Remember driving up to Gatwick Airport, waiting at the gate, meeting and greeting my mum and my dad with all the luggage. I mean, those luggages back in those days didn't have wheels. You had to carry the luggage. There's not those wheels now. You got on your suitcases there, right? They didn't have that in those days. We had to carry the heavy luggages, and there were quite a few. So got to the car. I was in a bit of a rush. I just did the best I could, to kind of tie down the luggage on top of the car. I didn't have a rack to put on the car. So we're driving down again back on the M25, heading back into London. And I'm noticing there's cars behind us that they come close and then they back off. I think, what's going on? So when we got to the petrol station, what I realized, I hadn't tied down the luggage, my mum and dad's suitcases, properly. And there was one hanging off the side of the car. That's why people were scared not to come too close to the car, being fearful that the luggage might fall off and hit the screen, the window screen. So there's a lesson for you. If you're traveling, make sure you've got, the proper luggage rack to put on top of your car, and fasten it down as much as possible. You don't want to be like me, an idiot, just getting a bit of twine, a bit of rope, and didn't do a proper job. That's a cocktail for disaster. Next story. Now, my mum, I don't think my mum's watching now, but hi, mum, if you are watching. This story here, again, linked to traveling to Dominica. This was probably the first time, no, probably the second time I traveled to Dominica with my mum and my dad and my sisters. So we got to the airport. We had a layover of maybe 2 hours going to Antigua, connecting flights. And then we got the small Liat airplanes. Liat are actually going out of business. It's a very, very sad story. I might talk about it on another podcast. A small Liat airplane, island hopping airplane. So we get into the air. We've got our luggages and everything else. So I remember my mum was sat next to me, and I was there looking at the waves, the ocean below. I'm thinking, oh my goodness. So there was a bit of turbulence at the beginning. Then there was a lot of turbulence, and my mum started to panic. And this mum was saying, oh my goodness, are we going to die? I said, no, mum, we're not going to die, mum. We're not going to die. The next thing, and I kid you not, the pilot said, right, we have to land the plane at Guadalupe Island, because we have a problem with one of the engines. And as he said that, the engine stopped. And I was there praying. And there's my mum panicking, saying, oh my goodness, are we going to die? I said, no, mum, we're not going to die, mum. We're not going to die. And you gotta visualize this. The Liat airplanes don't carry more than maybe 20 people, not more than that. So the other passengers listening to my mum saying, oh my goodness, are we going to die? And there I am. I must have been maybe, I don't know, 12, 13, saying, mum, no, we're not going to die. So when we eventually landed in Guadalupe, we looked out, and no word of a lie, as God is my I don't know, strike me down now, God. The tire, there was a flat tire. The plane had a flat tire, as well as they had like an engine failure because the propeller stopped. There was a flat tire on the Liat airplane. And there's a mum, are we going to die? Are we going to die? No, mum, we're not going to die. Oh my goodness, that was a trip and a half. The small island hopper Liat airplanes. Are we going to die? No, mum, we're not going to die. That's going to live long in the memory. Hi, mum. I'm not sure if mum's watching me now. Next story doesn't involve my mum, involves my wife. Hello, wife. I think my wife's probably listening. This is something that you must, there's a reason why you must have a checklist of things. Check, got passports, check we've got travel insurance, check we're traveling on the right dates, and also check you've got all your luggage. So, trip, my wife, not, actually, I didn't travel with my wife. My wife was going to Colombia. My wife's Colombian. And I think it was Heathrow. It's Heathrow Airport. Got to Heathrow Airport. And I said, "Oh, so we pack all the luggage?" I said, "Of course we packed all the luggage." So we got to the airport, taking out the luggage. One, two. Is that it, Alex? Only two luggage. I said, "Yeah, of course." What happened? We left one luggage behind. There was supposed to be 3 big luggages and my wife's small handbag, and I only packed 2 in the car. So can you imagine the panic on my wife's face? You only packed 2. I was thinking, well, yeah. Said there was 3. So I packed the big luggages, but my wife did not take the 3rd one. Thinking, come on, you got to take responsibility. So make sure you got a checklist. Passports, check. Travel insurance, check. Money, check. Date traveling, check. Check all these things, including your luggage. Make sure you put all your luggage at the door, ready to be carted away and lifted away and taken by Alex. And what we had to do, we had to call the landlord to get into our flat, get the luggage, and get an Uber to Heathrow Airport. And that's why they say you've got to travel, arrive at the airport 4 hours before your departure, in case those things happen. Because those things do happen. How do I know? Because it happened to me. It happened to me. Next story. Basically, this is again about turbulence, and I've just spoken about my mum panicking. The second time we went to Dominica, a small Liat iron hopping airplane. We had to stop off at Guadalupe Island because we have a slight problem with the engine, and the engine stops. And we all bundled out of the airplane just to see that there was a flat tire. Now, probably the worst turbulence that I've ever experience was when I was coming back from Australia. And we were making the approach to Heathrow. And all of a sudden, the airplane probably, I don't know, maybe 200 feet. So what happened was, I remember we were making the approach, they were turning around, and then you could feel like we came through the clouds, of course, with a little bit of turbulence, and all of a sudden there's a bit more turbulence, and all of a sudden the plane plummeted 200 feet. Now, I've not spoken about this before. I haven't spoken about this before. Maybe my wife's probably listening. I've not spoken about this before, and I was really, really scared. 200 feet, the airplane had plummeted. 200 feet. And I was there with my friend I used to work with in retail. I was thinking, oh my goodness. Actually, I didn't really have enough time to even think. I was just scared. We were all scared of hearing the screams of people, including men. Turbulence is probably one of the worst experiences that I've experienced being on an airplane. Any more stories? Yeah, I've spoken about the luggage, innit? You don't want to arrive at the airport. You know, with the restrictions, you're talking about EasyJet, could be, and other airlines. And you're approaching. Who's next? You come through. Yeah, passports, okay, luggage, and you have overladen your luggage, which means you've overpacked your luggage, and you've got to pay the excess fee. Now, EasyJet are notorious, like Ryanair, are notorious for asking you to pay for everything apart from breathing. Everything apart from breathing. So make sure that when you pack your luggage, that you are within the allowance of luggage. This poor guy here is probably thinking, oh, I've carried too much. Yeah, you've carried too much luggage. If you're like that, it's too late, man. If you're at the airport, it's too late. One of the last times I went to Costa Rica, Actually, it was the year that my father passed away, 2009. You know, my extras drove me to Juan Santa Maria airport in San Jose. Got to the airport. He couldn't go through because it was only passengers. I said my goodbyes. Got to the gate. What happened? My luggage was over the limit. And what did I have to do? I had to bung my clothes in the bin. I had to throw a lot of my clothes in the bin just to make sure I was within the limit. I don't know how that happened. So again, make sure when you're traveling that you are within the allowance that your airline or whoever gives you. Use it's 23 kg. 23 kg. Any more slides? We're done on this one. Just over 15 minutes. So, you know, there is an opportunity. If you wanted to join us, you're probably thinking, join on what, Alex? You can send me an email. Alex_35956 at yahoo.com, or send me a WhatsApp message on +44 7949 360 741. If you're probably thinking, what is Alex talking about? There is an opportunity to join me and earn some serious commission. Again, drop me either an email or WhatsApp. I promise to respond inside, let's say, like five hours or less. But yeah, those stories, man, those stories are gonna live long in the memory. You know, just thinking about those cars in my mind. I was thinking the cars they're coming close and then they're backing off. Stops at the petrol station. I was thinking, oh my goodness. I don't know whether my dad's luggage or my mom's luggage was hanging off the side because I hadn't tied it down properly. You don't want to be doing that, man. You don't want to be doing that. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to put a little bit of this music. Is it this one here? I love this music, man. I love this music over here. Anyway, this has been Stick to Travel podcast. I shall see you on the next one. The next one is the next week Wednesday. Until then, bye-bye. Safe journey wherever you're traveling in this world of ours. And this, again, has been Stick to Travel podcast. See you later.